Hey everybody, welcome to the live stream. I was just trying to finish up a book I'm reading. Whenever I am traveling, I try to minimize the number of books I bring. And I've got like 20 pages to go in this book about the Rwandan genocide that I'm reading. And I don't want to bring that to finish it before the plane even takes off tomorrow. And then I've got to lug this book around the rest of the trip. Doesn't seem efficient, doesn't seem like the right thing to do. So I'm going to try to finish that up tonight after the stream, of course. Major breaking news, which is that Special Prosecutor Robert Mueller has been called to testify before the House. We're going to get to all of the details, and I'm glad that you are joining me. This is going to be the last live stream for a little bit because I do fly out tomorrow to Las Vegas. I am meeting Sam Cedar there. I think our flights actually get in within a few minutes of each other. We will see if we end up sharing a ride to the hotel. And of course, I can only imagine that settlement negotiations would take place in the car if we do end up sharing a ride. I will be broadcasting from Las Vegas for the rest of the week, other than tomorrow. Tomorrow, Ben Dixon will be filling in for me on the broadcast program, which will be great. He hasn't filled in for a bit, and I know he's looking forward to it. And he was emailing me about stories and the plan for tomorrow earlier today. So that's all great stuff happening tomorrow. What else is going on? I may try to stream from Las Vegas. There were a bunch of requests for me to stream Sam Cedar from Majority Report, who will also be broadcasting from the conference, sort of like a Inception type of thing, or Russian dolls or whatever. Sam will stream, and then I will stand like 30 feet from Sam and stream like a side view of him streaming, and then maybe somebody would even stream that if we're lucky. Welcome to the stream. If this is your first live stream, before we get into it, these are really live unless they're replays. Last two streams, there was a lot of confusion. People sending super chats and signing up for memberships after the stream ended, believing that it was live because it was archived. So it's live when it's live, and then it's replayed. You can communicate with me using the super chat function at the bottom of the chat window. That's the $sign. We already got one super chat, and I will get to those in a little bit. If you have questions or comments and you want me to read and react or answer them, that is the way to do it. Please sign up for membership using the coupon codes down below in the descriptions. If we get 10 new members, I will open up the phones. And if we get 15, I may even commit to streaming from Las Vegas. We'll see about that. Don't troll the live chat. Trolling the live chat will be extra difficult starting today because we have we have three new moderators since two live streams ago, and an additional moderator since the live stream. So people are, the bans are free, and I have fully deputized the moderators to take advantage of them. And lastly, you can also join by using the join button down below. We are part of a YouTube beta program called YouTube Channel Membership. We will count those towards the target of 10 new members during the stream. And with that being said, let's get into this breaking news story. The House Judiciary Committee is calling on Robert Mueller to testify. Now, this is not yet a subpoena, but I will get to that momentarily. House Judiciary Chairman Gerald Nadler, I shouldn't highlight that, it makes it more difficult to read, joined ranking member Congressman Doug Collins, a Republican from Georgia, in calling for special counsel Robert Mueller to testify before the committee after Congress receives his full report and hears from Attorney General William Barr. Now, this is news, okay? But there are already two caveats here. Mueller should testify after Congress gets his full report. When will that be? We don't know. And after Congress has heard from Attorney General William Barr. When will we hear from William Barr? We also don't know. So this is significant, but there are still a number of steps here that need to be accomplished before this is going to happen. We have a quote here from Jerry Nadler. Today, Ranking Member Collins called for Special Counsel Mueller to appear before the House Judiciary Committee. I fully agree. Special Counsel Mueller should come before the committee to answer questions in public about his 22-month investigation into President Trump and his associates. In order to ask Special Counsel Mueller the right questions, the committee must receive the special counsel's full report and hear from Attorney General Barr about that report on May 2nd. We look forward to hearing from Mr. Mueller at the appropriate time. So as you can see, two caveats, and then there's a third caveat, which is that this is not a subpoena, at least at this point in time. It's a request. It's a request which Robert Mueller, until such time that he is subpoenaed, can either accept or deny. and then it would be up to the Judiciary Committee to decide whether they want to subpoena Robert Mueller. My guess is Mueller would appear. As Axios goes on to say, the backdrop: earlier on Monday, Congressman Collins published a letter criticizing Democrats' attempt to subpoena the unredacted report, writing on Twitter, quote, Democrats can cite no precedent for their demands for grand jury information from the hashtag Mueller report, but there is a solution we should all be able to agree on. The Judiciary Committee should invite the special counsel to testify immediately. Collins said that Mueller should testify the week of April 22nd. The House is expected to be on recess that week, but Collins wrote, I think we can agree this business is too important to wait, and members of the committee will surely return to Washington at such a critical moment in this country's history. There's a funny thing with those recesses. I'm in touch with a couple members of Congress, and everybody always is not desperate, but eager to get back to their home districts or to go on vacation or to do other things during those recess weeks. And until such time that they have some pet project or something they believe will get them publicity, at which point all of a sudden they say, this is just too important for us to be on break. Let's cancel the recess. Let's be here. We see it in the Senate as well with votes and filibusters and the entire thing. And generally speaking, from what I'm told by these members of Congress, there is some resentment when you're looking forward to being home and who knows who says the panel needs to meet because we have important witnesses to talk to. Although I agree that talking to Robert Mueller rises to the level of extraordinarily important in this particular case. The big picture: Barr, who is currently working with Mueller to redact the 400-page report, has agreed to testify before the committee on May 2nd. Though Democrats have called on him to appear sooner, Mueller has not made any public statements about the report or his plans to testify, but a public appearance before Congress would be a must-watch political spectacle for those who have closely followed the 2-year investigation. We've got to get both of these individuals to testify sooner than later, and of course we need the report. If nobody gets the report, if the House doesn't get the report, if they get it in an outrageously or comically redacted form, it's also going to be pretty difficult to ask serious and important questions of William Barr and of Robert Mueller. The key question that is starting to float now is, will Mueller end up needing to be subpoenaed? I don't think that he will. I think that there's no reason to think, listen, there would be some degree of hypocrisy if after all of the frustration that I presume Mueller and his investigators experienced as a result of people who don't want to talk to him and them, up to and including President Donald Trump, for Mueller now to say, I'm not going, subpoena me, my lawyers will fight it, or whatever, it wouldn't make any sense, and it would be a double standard that I don't think. There's a lot of hypocrites right now in government. There's a lot of hypocritical actors. I have seen no evidence that that's something Robert Mueller would try to do. Now, this doesn't tell us that if he is to testify, it is going to be the explosive series of bombshells that we might like. A lot of what is brought up may not be discussed in that public setting and may end up being relegated to a private behind closed doors meeting. So we don't know. That's what we know so far. Now, in the midst of it, there is all sorts of other chaos taking place in the Trump administration, including a sort of growing desperation on a number of issues, including the Donald Trump tax return fiasco. We covered a bunch of this, although not this latest news, on the broadcast show today, clips from which we'll be publishing to YouTube over the next several hours, unless you remember, in which case you already have seen all of today's show. The request made by my former Congressman, Richard Neal, to the Treasury Department, to the IRS, for the last 6 years of Donald Trump's tax returns is one that is going to be maybe the most difficult for the Trump administration to avoid acquiescing to. And it's really not the Trump administration, but Trump's Treasury Department that would ultimately make this decision. There is a law from 1924 which allows any House or Senate committee that has tax writing privileges to also request the tax returns of anybody that they want. The president or whoever is in play doesn't get a chance to say yes or no. It is very difficult to go against these requests, although we may see them tested. And now you are seeing every form of desperation, including now Mick Mulvaney rewriting history or attempting to rewrite history in this particular case here. As you know, in 2014, as this Vox article points out, Trump said that if he decides to run for office, I'll produce my tax returns. Absolutely, I would love to do that. In 2015, months before launching his presidential campaign, Trump told conservative radio host Hugh Hewitt that, quote, I would release tax returns. I have no objection to certainly showing tax returns. Trump reiterated this during the first presidential debate with Hillary Clinton, with that caveat saying, I'm under a routine audit and it'll be released. And as soon as the audit is finished, it will be released. Of course, we have no evidence that Trump is under audit. Michael Cohen has asserted that this is merely something that Donald Trump says. And of course, we know that it's a lie. Donald Trump has no intention of releasing his tax returns, period. So I hope that this does work, although I think it's important in the same way that a year ago I said, if you're hoping for the Mueller probe to uncover evidence of personal collusion with Vladimir Putin on the behalf of Donald Trump, there's almost zero chance of that. In that same way, I think that if you're hoping for criminality to be definitively exposed by Donald Trump's tax returns, I don't believe it's going to happen. I think the most likely two scenarios in terms of Trump's tax returns are, number one, he's not nearly as wealthy as he claims to be, and he's an egomaniac. So that actually may be a reason why he would do everything possible to avoid those tax returns being released. Possibility number two is that Donald Trump maybe doesn't want it known how little in taxes he pays in terms of a percentage of his income. Although I'm less sure about that because he has previously said that he's smart to pay as little in taxes as possible. This is what everybody does, and he's right about that. And I think that it actually would not really damage him with his base if it was uncovered that he was paying some pathetically low effective tax rate. So I think the most likely scenario is that he is not as wealthy as he has claimed to be. He is not as wealthy as some of these lists of billionaires have claimed him to be on the basis of inflated assets and holdings and real estate by Donald Trump. So I think the tax returns should be released, if only because this is what every presidential candidate for the last 40 years have done, if only because Trump doesn't want them to be released. But I don't actually think there's any serious possibility that we will see Trump's taxes and say, here's crimes that Donald Trump committed. Along the same lines of chaos at the White House, Donald Trump is also removing the United States Secret Service director. Tex Allies, I don't know how his last name is pronounced, is being removed from his position, according to multiple administration officials to CNN. President Donald Trump instructed his acting chief of staff, Mick Mulvaney, who, as I told you in the last story, is now pretending Donald Trump never promised to release his tax returns. Trump directed Mulvaney to fire Alls. Alls remains in his position as of now, but has been asked to leave. He was told 2 weeks ago there would be a transition in leadership, and he was asked to stay until there was a replacement. Secret Service officials have been caught by surprise with the news and are only finding out through CNN, according to the source. Now, there was this story last week, and I think this is referenced here. Yeah, here it is. A source familiar with the director said his ouster was not related to the recent scrutiny the Secret Service got after a Chinese woman illegally entered the president's Mar-a-Lago club carrying Chinese passports and a flash drive containing malware. She had a number of conflicting and sort of confused stories about exactly what she was doing, clarifying that Trump could not be happier with Secret Service following the Mar-a-Lago incident. Secret Service has done a fantastic job from day one. Very happy with them, Trump said during a White House event when asked by reporters about the Mar-a-Lago trespasser. The Secret Service director reports directly to the Secretary of Homeland Security, Kirstjen Nielsen, who resigned yesterday. We talked about that on the broadcast show today. The director oversees the Secret Service's work on both protection and investigations. There is a near systematic purge happening at the nation's second largest national security agency, one senior administration official says. I won't rehash the entire Kirsten Nielsen thing because we did a long segment about it on today's broadcast show. So complete and total chaos and disarray in the Trump administration, which has been one of the themes or hallmarks of the last couple of years. And there is no indication that it is going to slow down anytime soon. And I believe that Ben Dixon will be covering some of that tomorrow when he fills in for me, as I will be making my way to not sunny. It's actually cloudy right now, cloudy Las Vegas. Not nearly as hot as it normally is, but there will still be a very, very exciting progressive media meeting of the minds, which I will be telling you about before you know it. Okay, I want to get to a bunch of the super chats that are coming in, but I'll remind everybody who's just making their way in. This is a live stream, unless it's a replay. If it's 7:15 p.m. Eastern on April 8th of 2019, I guess I should say. If you don't know what year it is, you're probably, maybe you're not here. I don't know. Maybe there are people watching who don't know what year it is, but I assume everybody knows. This is live unless it's a replay. The best way to communicate with me, which you can do much more easily than leaving angry comments on uploaded videos, is to use the super chat function at the bottom of the chat window. That's the dollar symbol. It will pop up your questions and comments on the screen, as you will see momentarily. I will address comments, react to them, and also answer questions if you have them. Please sign up for memberships on our website if you want me to open the phone lines, okay? I am willing to open the phone lines, particularly since this is likely to be the last live stream of this sort for a little while, since I will be traveling. If we get to 10 new members, I will do it. The phone line system costs us money. In March, I did a record number of live streams, took a record number of phone calls, and correspondingly, we had a record high phone bill, which is why we usually have some kind of new member target. There are 2 coupon codes available, which will save you just a ton of money off of your membership. One coupon code is This Is 2020. This information is in the description down below, by the way. The coupon code This Is 2020 saves you 40% off of any membership, okay? If you want to get an even bigger discount on a percentage basis, there is a coupon code SAVE35, which will drop a $60 membership to just 25 bucks. If you can afford $2.08 a month, which is what that breaks down to, and you like the work that we do, I'm asking for your support. And as a special incentive, if you are one of the 10 members, new members, that gets us to open the phones, I will take your phone call first. Simply include your area code when you sign up in either the first or last name field. I will see it. And then on that basis, if we open up the phone lines, we will go to you first. So anybody who includes their area code when they sign up, I will go to you before anybody else. Lastly, don't troll the live chat. We have more moderators than ever overseeing the live chat. And you can also use the join button on YouTube right down below. We will count those towards the target of 10. Okay, let me get to some of these super chats that are coming in. Robert Xavier Betancourt Jr. sent a $2 super chat right before we got going with no question or comment, but I still appreciate it, Robert. Thank you very much. Jason Zaremba sent a $4.99 super chat saying, as a break from politics, what are your favorite movies? Also, as a drummer, if you haven't seen Whiplash, you totally should. There are just so many good movies. I couldn't tell you what my favorites are. It's sort of like, what's your favorite book? There's just so many. I really couldn't say. I'm trying to think what I've seen recently that I liked. I saw In Bruges recently, which is not new, with Colin Farrell, and it was really great. And I was recently in Bruges, Belgium, and I saw the movie after visiting, and it was great, but not super exciting. I don't watch that many new movies, and yeah, I don't know. As a drummer, if you haven't seen Whiplash, you totally should. I have not seen Whiplash, and I know that I should, and maybe it'll be available on my flight tomorrow, and I'll be able to watch it. There was a $1 super chat where the message was retracted. All right. Sam Dean with the 10 Australian dollar super chat says, a friend said that it's good that the EPA is going away. Says they shut down farms that had E. coli and now E. coli-ridden food comes from Mexico. Is there any validity to this, or is my friend an idiot? I've not heard anything about the EPA getting shut down. Let me see if I can look that up. EPA shutdown. Let's see here. I'm not seeing anything like that. Yeah, I don't know what your friend is talking about, but I would Google that maybe, because I don't know where they got that information. Okay, let's see who else is here. A whole bunch of different super chats just came in. Joseph Dinsies is a new member using the join button down below. That is new member number 1 for the evening. 1 out of 10. We're well on our way. Joey Tech Talks says, what are your thoughts on ranked choice voting? I think it would be better for our country overall. Are there any downsides? There are some methods of ranked choice voting that have the downside that you can end up with a candidate winning without having been anyone's first choice, but there are methods that solve that problem. There's a bunch of videos on our YouTube channel addressing that. I do like elements of ranked choice voting, and I also recognize that there are some shortcomings. But I think the problem we have is with the Electoral College, and there are a number of ways that votes could be counted at the state level, all of which could be good contenders, but Electoral College at the federal level, at the national level, I think is a much bigger problem. Sabrina Zafar says, thoughts on liberal philosopher, I never know how to say his name, Slavoj Zizek. I don't know exactly how to say his name. My dad has read like everything by him and could tell you anything you want to know. I think he's a fascinating guy. His demeanor which is quite manic, kind of makes me nervous when I watch his videos, but we've been trying to get him on the program, and I hope to be able to announce something related to that sooner than later. Another $1 super chat that was retracted. Brian Walters with the new high super chat of the evening at $30, just supporting you. Thank you. Thank you, Brian. Really appreciate that. Extraordinarily generous. And on that note, I want to thank 2 other people. Joshua Stoltenberg has signed up for a membership at davidpakman.com/membership using the 40% off coupon code. This is 2020. That is new member number 2 of the evening. And you know what? Ariana became a patron just a few minutes ago for $2 a month at patreon.com/davidpakmanshow. Even though I didn't mention Patreon, I'm going to count it. And that actually gets us to 3 new members. We're looking for 10. And when we get to 10, I will open up the phone lines. It's always exciting to see if people start leaving voice. As soon as I go live, even though we haven't opened the phone lines, people start leaving voicemails. Yeah, and they're coming in like crazy. The phone lines aren't open yet. If and when they open, the number will be 617-830-4750, but we are 7 new members away. Joseph Dinsies says, just signed up. My area code is 425. Oh, okay. I guess when I said Joshua Stoltenberg, I guess that's Joseph Dinsies. Now I'm confused. Maybe I outed Joseph with a different name than he wants to use, but I will make a note. Area code 425. If the phone line's open, we will go to area code 425 first. Now, Joseph may just be lying. That would be fascinating if he just claims to have signed up, and now he's going to get on the phones first. Let's not make it a habit of just shouting out area codes. Why don't we? Tidewell says, Kolinsky versus Cedar in a cage match. Who wins? That's interesting. I mean, listen, Sam's in his early 50s, and Kyle is, I don't know how old Kyle is. He must be close to my age, in his early to mid 30s. I think it's probably Kyle, although, Sam, I've seen Sam lift a grand piano over his head, and he's much stronger than he looks. So I don't know. I also think it depends on time of day, because being familiar with Sam's schedule and Kyle's schedule, depending on when in the day this cage match happens, that could be a pretty big factor. Blue Nowhere 999 with a $5 Australian dollar super chat says, is there any way you know of which Trump can prevent Mueller from testifying? Freudian slip there. Or releasing his tax returns, Put your anti-Trump biases aside. Well, I mean, listen, I don't know of any legal means through which Trump can prevent Mueller from testifying. Trump could try to assert, by the way, why this is just a legal question. It's not a question of bias. Trump could try to assert executive privilege in some way, but I don't really know how, because Trump's communications with Mueller in writing via his attorneys were testimony. So I don't know if you could assert executive privilege on that specifically. And I don't know the answer to the tax return question. As I mentioned earlier, Congressman Richard Neal has requested 6 years of Donald Trump's tax returns on the basis of a 1924 law that allows any tax writing committees to do that. We're going to see it tested potentially. I don't know if there is a means for Donald Trump to prevent that from happening. December with a $2 super chat. David Pacman equals amazing. Well, thank you very much. Jimmy from Philly. Oh, dear. Jimmy from Philly says, hard bastard eviscerated you on a video, quote, analyzing David Pacman's ridiculous Mueller investigation coverage. What say you, capital Y on you? The walls are closing in. Haven't seen it. Don't care. Every day there's 15 to 20 videos of someone trying to make a buck, criticizing me. Don't care. Too busy with my show. Don't have the time to watch it. Matthew Campos is a new member on YouTube. That is new member number 4 of the evening. Very much appreciate it. Just remember, I say this with peace and love. When you're a YouTube member, YouTube keeps 30% of that. If you sign up on my website, we get all but 2.9%. There's a 2.9% payment fee. We get the rest. So I'm just saying we keep a lot more of the money when you sign up on our website, but that is new member number 4. And if we get 10, I'll open up the phone lines. Okay. Shosoy Bob Oso says, David, watch the Joker Joaquin Phoenix trailer. Okay. I mean, let's check it out right now. The Joker trailer. People have been talking to me about this. I don't know what the big deal is. I don't know who is playing the Joker. I don't know anything about it. I guess Joaquin Phoenix is. That's what this person's telling me. Let's take a look.
Arthur, does it help to have someone to talk to?
My mother always tells me to smile and put on a happy face. She told me I had a purpose to bring laughter and joy to the world. Hey, stop them! Is it just me?
I have to say, I'm liking it.
Or is it getting crazier out there?
Smile, though your heart is aching. Smile, even though it's breaking. When there are clouds in the sky.
All right, I think I've seen enough. This is a movie that I want to see. This is definitely a movie that I want to see. I knew nothing about this because I'm so disconnected from a lot of pop culture stuff. But Joaquin Phoenix is awesome. I hate superhero movies, except the Batman universe. When my family, this is an interesting story some of you might like and some of you might hate. Don't cancel your memberships over this story. When my family moved to the United States in 1989, I knew 2 words of English, stop and blue. This is real. And when we got settled and went to a store, I guess, an electronics store. Seems weird to even say it now that you just get everything on Amazon. Went to an electronics store and got a little 20-inch television, which I actually had up until 2 years ago in my basement. Finally got rid of it. And a VCR tape player. We got to go to Blockbuster, which also is, you know, I think we all know what I'm talking about here. And I got to pick out a movie. And the movie I picked was Batman with Jack Nicholson and Michael Keaton. Is this story even possible? Is that movie from 1989? Imagine if the movie's from like 93 and I've completely fabricated this memory. Anyway, and as I recall, Batman with Jack Nicholson and Michael Keaton accelerated my English vocabulary significantly. And this looks really good. So I'm glad you mentioned it. Okay. Thank you to Caitlin Stamper. Unclear if she's related to Doug Stamper. Caitlin Stamper is a new member at davidpakman.com/membership, new member number 5 of the evening. And Joseph Dinsies. Oh, okay. All right. So I see what's going on. So Joshua Stoltenberg is not the caller from 425. Now Joseph Dinsies has signed up. I guess I'm getting these notifications on a delay, which a couple people have suggested to me was going on. Is new member number 6 of the evening, which gets us 60% of the way to our target of 10. Arisis Love says, is there a Ms. Pac-Man? Yes. I've mentioned her before, although she's not Ms. Pac-Man because we're not married. Out there is a new member on YouTube. That is new member number 7, which gets us 70% of the way there. Jack Mioff is sending a $2 super chat. Like how I did that there. I'm not Bill O'Reilly. Jack Mioff is sending a $2 super chat. Khalil Ahmadi sends a 50 Danish kroner super chat. Isn't it like half YouTube takes per donation? No, though. No, YouTube takes 30% is what is my understanding. Jimmy from Philly sends a $2 super chat. Why are you so afraid of being held accountable? I've seen no evidence to suggest that that's the case, Jimmy. I wonder if Jimmy's leaving voicemails again, like a crazed guy. We found out Jimmy drinks a lot on the show last week, and he left a voicemail. Let's see, 1, 2. How many did he leave? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Jimmy has left 6 voicemails since my last live stream, and in at least one of them, he indicated that he was drinking his 11.5% beer. Karen Hanania or Hanania is new member number 8 of the evening, which gets us 80% of the way there. We might be taking a lot of phone calls tonight because memberships are coming in very, very quickly. Once again, I'll remind you, 10 new members, I open up the phone lines. 15 new members, I will likely do a stream from the Progressive Media Meeting of the Minds that is set to take place in Las Vegas starting tomorrow. So get those memberships in, and there are just some stunning discounts available. And I wonder if I could even show you here. Let me just see something. I want to make sure that I can get this displayed correctly because I'm seeing some messages with confusion. Yeah, let me see if I can do this. Okay, so this is the website, okay? Any one of these memberships, you can select and apply the coupon code This Is 2022, but there is a particular membership with an even more stunning membership special available. It requires you to switch to yearly, okay? This is the key thing, and I'm seeing messages in the chat from people saying that Save 35 isn't working. You've got to switch to yearly, and you can't slide up to these other memberships, okay? It only works with the $60 membership. You hit sign up, and I'm going to do this now. Let's say my name is, let's say my name is Donald Trump, okay? And my email is, real hair at, whoa, that was weird. Hitting the @ sign changed the shot. Real hair at, Trump.org or whatever. It doesn't even matter. Anyway, the point is, this is where you type in the coupon code. And if you type in Save 35, and as I press buttons, things are just getting completely crazy. You will see that it has changed as my Zoom goes completely bonkers to $25 a year. And you're able to keep that coupon code for as long as you want. That experiment did not work particularly well. But in any case, that's how it works. And 2 more, and we will do live calls, 7 more, and I will do a stream from Las Vegas. Okay, let's get back to the super chats. Zendicrust says, do obsessive stalkers like Jimmy concern you? You know, they do to some degree, but we do have regular contact with the FBI and other law enforcement agencies. And the stuff we identify is really serious. Like, let me give you an example. Jimmy left me 6 voicemails since the last live stream, and we're kind of joking around about it. And sometimes I'll talk to Jimmy on the phone. There is someone else I'm not mentioning who has left 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 15 voicemails in the last 2 days. I'm not mentioning them because there's a serious concern, and those are forwarded to law enforcement. So that's a little story for you there. Joa Chillerson sends a 17 Danish kroner super chat. Do you like the ending of House of Cards? I don't. You know, there are very few TV series where I find the ending satisfying. Now, I don't have to like it. It doesn't have to be a feel-good ending, but it has to be satisfying in some way that is kind of like relevant to the story. The Breaking Bad ending I found very, very well done and satisfying and logical in a way. And while, you know, the thing about the House of Cards ending is that after Kevin Spacey's legal troubles started, there was sort of an alteration to the trajectory of the show made. I don't think that the way they ended the show is the way that they planned to end the show, but I still found it relatively okay on the basis of what did and didn't make sense internally based on the characters and whatnot. It wasn't my favorite ending, but I do think that it was logical in a way. Jane A., describe a dictatorship. How does this administration differ? Well, Donald Trump has authoritarian tendencies, but it is not a dictatorship because we still have checks and balances, increasingly frayed and not well-functioning checks and balances, but we still have them. So it's just we don't have a dictatorship. We have a president who would love to have one. That's for sure. Jimmy from Philly says, I'm blocked on the regular chat. Way to censor. You know, I haven't blocked you, Jimmy. I'm wondering if, let's see, people, wow. Now I'm looking at the chat and it is chaos. Way to get yourself blocked, Jimmy. Let me see what he said. What did he say? Oh boy, we have a trigger happy moderator who said, I'm trying to see here. Let me see if I can find the message that got Jimmy banned. Maybe I can override it if I have a disagreement, but I would not dream of disagreeing with a moderator. Let's see here. Jimmy from Philly. Oh no, Jimmy, you're not banned. You've just been timed out. I think that that's reasonable. Jimmy, I think when Jimmy drinks, he just gets out of control. I don't know that we need to go immediately to a ban unless he really starts, slurring people, slandering people. It's just crazy what's happening here. But he's in a timeout. Okay, and his paid message did get read, so that's I think that's an appropriate course of action. Okay, Jason Flaherty is a new David Pakman Show member. Thank you. Will from the 503 area code is a new David Pakman Show member. I will make a note of area code 503, which I believe is Denver. Austin Allen is a new member. That is new member number 11 of the evening. Constance Carter is a new member. That's new member number 12 of the evening. And Nicholas Hudson is new member number 13 of the evening. Thank you so much to all of you. We are going to open up the phone lines momentarily. Only 2 people have signed up with an area code, and they are going to be the first 2 people that I take calls from. So there are many opportunities to get on the phones. And if you include your area code when you sign up as either in the first or last name field, put in your full name, but also just add your area code somewhere. I will go to you first, and the next person to do that can get on the phone with me would be third in line. So I am going to open the phone lines at 617-830-4750. I will let people start to call in, and I think it will be, there's a lot, people are shot out of cannons tonight, so I think it's going to be a really great thing to take some phone calls. Again, the number is 617-830-4750, and as people call in, I will take a couple of other super chats here. Erisis Love says, is there a Pakman Jr.? There is not, and being culturally Jewish, we tend not to do the junior thing. You only name people after ancestors who are no longer alive. So there will never be a Pakman Jr. There could only be people with other names. Max Oaksmith says, please stream on Twitch. I've thought about starting to do stuff on Twitch, but I have to admit, I don't really know what the point would be. Because we have such a much larger audience on YouTube that I don't know if there's a benefit to starting from scratch on Twitch, but I'm not ruling it out. It's something I would consider doing. Jack Mioff sends a $2 super chat. Thank you very much. BizWiz says, David, how do you call BS on a candidate who has flipped their position on an issue for political gain versus a candidate who has truly evolved? There's no rule. I've talked about this before. What's the difference between flip-flopping and evolving on your opinion? There is no sort of set of parameters that I could tell you. You really just have to analyze it on a case-by-case basis. And there's a little bit of you know it when you see it type of thing. And there's also circumstances. I mean, listen, I've mentioned this before. Dave Rubin claims to have had a political awakening where he went from basically agreeing with Bernie Sanders on everything, that's a direct quote, to being a conservative, right? And I think he was like 38 or 39 years old when it happened. I don't know how that's possible. I mean, I've had modifications to my political views since I became an adult, but it really seems to me that the older you are, the more sort of established you are in knowing yourself and having such a drastic political evolution on so many issues at that point in life seems difficult. Evolving on gay marriage, as Tulsi Gabbard says she has. Okay, maybe she did, maybe she didn't. I don't really know that, but it's possible. Evolving on taxation policy, I get it, but you've really got to just look at these cases individually. Okay, I'm about to take phone calls at 617-830-4750. Now, interestingly, none of the people who signed up and gave me their area code because they want to call in are currently on hold. I have plenty of people on hold, but not those people. So I'm going to give it just another minute or two in case 425 or 503 want to call in. And if you want to call in and get right on, become a new member and include your area code in the first or last name field. 617-830-4750 is the number. The lines are open. A couple of other super chats: Steve Lunny with $1, Eddie Lopez with $5, and Arisis Love says, "Orange, you glad this isn't another Pac-Man joke?" I really am, because it would be disturbing for there to be another Pac-Man joke. Okay, let's go to, where do we want to go? Let's go, let me get my notes set up. I always take notes about the callers and then enter those notes into our call system, so when they call back in, I can see what it is that's going on. Let's go to Joseph. We last heard from Joseph in January. What's going on, Joseph?
Doing really good. How about you?
Hey, good.
Yeah, so I wanted to talk to you about voting systems. So a lot of you guys talk about what do you call it? Multi-choice voting and whatnot.
Ranked choice
things
voting?
like that. Ranked choice voting, yeah. I'd like to suggest something that maybe you haven't heard of. I guess it's kind of a question if you have heard of it.
Okay.
Have you heard of mixed member proportional representation before?
I have, although I don't think I've studied it enough to be able to get all the pros and cons in contrast to some of these other systems, but I have. I mean, is it a system you like?
I think it's a really great system if we're talking about congressional, legislative elections. I'm open to the idea of ranked choice for executive positions.
Okay.
Or especially for inside the Democratic Party. I think I'm a student member in the Democratic Party, and we're really pushing to get ranked choice because I think it's just a better way to choose a candidate inside the party.
Yep.
But basically, what mixed member proportional representation is there's two votes. You vote. Your first vote is based on who do you want your representative in your district to be, and it's just a simple majority.
Okay.
Then you have a second vote, which is what is your preferred party. So what that happens is that let's just say you have a gerrymandered state, and even though 50-50, let's say 50% of people favor the Democratic Party or 50% of people favor the Republican Party, it can be massively gerrymandered to a point where the Republicans control 80% of the seats.
Sure.
What the mixed member does, what the PR does, is that with that second vote, it takes into recognition half the state wants this one party, half the state wants this party. So they add at-large seats. They give at-large seats to a party, and to balance out the state, so it actually reflects the electoral, like that
Got it.
reflects
Got
the
it. Got
party
it. Got it.
preference of the
So in
state.
other words, if the congressional elections saw one party hold 80% of the seats, but in that second vote, 50% of the state's population, for example, wanted the other party, there would be enough at-large seats added such that each party would end up with 50% of the seats. Is that roughly what you're saying?
Yeah, that's about it. It's like, for example, I'm from Germany,
Yep.
and well, I'm from the state of Bavaria, and in Bavaria there's a regionalist party, and they win every single district. They win. It's the CSU. They win every single one, and even if you had ranked choice, they would still win every single district. There wouldn't be any third parties. So the proportional representation, basically all these at-large seats counterbalance, they give all sort of that voting influence to all the other parties, like the SDP and AFD, even though AFD is terrible, but stuff like that. So it's an actually good way to get third parties into Congress and so on and so forth.
Very
So I
interesting.
highly
Well,
recommend you read
listen,
about it.
Joseph, I am going to be marking you as a very, very good caller. Your connection was pristine. You got right to the point. You brought up something that I am now going to research and read about. So I give you a 10 out of 10.
Okay, thank you very much.
Very good. And very polite in accepting the 10 out of 10. I like it. Okay, Joseph, originally from Germany. Okay, let's go. Oh, I have a few super chats. I Hate Apricots says, who do you think will replace the DHS secretary? Ken Cuccinelli, former Virginia AG, is being floated. He's most well known for wanting to ban oral sex. So that is who I heard is being suggested. Amazing Shooter says, what's your favorite NBA team? The Boston Celtics. And although, I have a friend who works for the Wizards, so I kind of have to like them a little bit, although, Muhammad Pope has sent a 99-cent super chat. And Jane Woman Power says, was going to suggest Jimmy from Philly be banned, but I think he will benefit from your show. He gets therapy and education here. Yeah, he's holding, and I'd consider going to him, but I do try to avoid going to the same people super frequently. Daniel J. Pierce is a new member. That is number 14 for the evening. And Blaine Schwake is also a new member. That is number 15 for the evening. Very, very exciting. Okay, let's go to someone new. Let's go to the 828 area code. Who's calling today from the 828 area code? 828, I can kind of hear you in the background. Do you know your area code? I hear a kid.
No, he's not. No.
Is someone spanking their kid? 828, you're on the air, and if you're hitting your kid, please stop. We can hear you. Oh, and they're gone. Okay. I will make a note. Possibly hitting child. All right. That is a very, very low-ranked call, I can assure you. Okay, let's go next to the 214 area code. Caller from 214. Who's there?
Hello.
Yes.
I'm Utsav Sarma, also known as the Rational Voice. And
Okay.
I have a question about Ilhan Omar.
Okay.
So you claim that the way she acted was anti-Semitic, but
When did I claim that?
isn't it completely open to interpretation?
When did I claim that?
Well, you implied it in your video pretty clearly.
No, I say
You
the
claimed
opposite
her-
in the video.
You claimed her statements were anti-Semitic.
I did not. I encourage you to find any video of me saying that her statements were anti-Semitic.
I could recall the video. It got mass disliked. It was called Ilhan Omar being anti-Semitic or something like that, and then you changed
It was
the
not
title.
called that. It was not called that. So far you've misstated in two different ways what I said and misstated the title of the video.
Okay, what was the title of the video then?
I don't remember, but I made it very, very clear in the video. It was months ago. It's interesting that you'd think you would have looked at it before calling in. I made very clear that I was not saying she is anti-Semitic or that the statements are anti-Semitic. I pointed out that the statements do relate to a known anti-Semitic trope. And I've since clarified every time someone calls in, I say, you're misquoting me. I didn't say she's anti-Semitic. I didn't say the comments are anti-Semitic.
So how would you suggest that it's a anti-Semitic trope?
Well, it's not how would I suggest it. I mean, we covered it on today's program, not in the context of Ilhan Omar. The idea of dual loyalty among Jews is a common anti-Semitic trope. I'm not saying she's anti-Semitic. I'm not saying the comment is inherently anti-Semitic. It was just an observation, but you're quoting something I just never said.
She was talking about dual loyalty between sovereign countries, though.
Okay, now I don't know what you're referring to.
All right. Thanks, anyways.
Check the video. All right, check the video. Thank you. Okay, let's go next to where else do we want to go? Let's go to Brendan from Pennsylvania. Brendan from Pennsylvania, what's going on?
Hey, David.
How you doing?
I'm good. I just wanted to. I called earlier in the past, and I was kind of on the subject of trade school and like labor jobs in the future. And I watched the Andrew Yang interview, and I really thought that was interesting. I appreciated you like laying out everything with UBI and asking him specific questions about that. But he brought up the increasing number of people that are going to be needed in the United States in the labor force, and I just wanted to again ask like what would be the best options like that are either currently available, or are there things that the government could be doing in order to, you know, solicit people to be going into those jobs?
Sorry, you're saying what could the government do to incentivize people to do what?
To go into trade schools and learn those crafts. Because I feel like in the United States right now, we have like a really big college incentive, like Andrew Yang was bringing up.
Yeah, but remember, most people still aren't going to college. So even though there are incentives, most people still are not going to college. It seems that maybe what you're saying is not so much that people going to college should necessarily instead go to trade school, but maybe people that aren't doing anything after high school should be going to trade school. Is that possible?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that looking at in the same way that we incentivize, and maybe this exists at the state level and I don't know enough about it, and if that's the case, then I look forward to being corrected. In the same way that there are programs where if you become a doctor and then work for 5 years or 10 years in underprivileged, underserved areas, you can have your student loan debt forgiven. There should be similar programs that incentivize people to be going into certain trades that are needed. I think there's a whole bunch of different ways that it could be set up, but it could be hugely advantageous both for people and for the industries that need more well-trained workers.
Yeah, it's interesting because, I mean, I decided to go to college, but my friends from back home, they entered, like, labor positions, and I never even considered, like, I didn't have any education in thinking about even how, I mean, their plans are actually to start their own businesses based off of this trades that they're learning, which is something that I never even had considered being a possibility.
Brendan, listen, your audio is trailing off and getting lower and lower, so I appreciate the phone call, a point taken, and I appreciate you bringing it up, but I'm going to let you go for the time being and look forward to hearing from you again. Let me say hello to new member number 16 of the evening, Sam Dean. Sam Dean is a new member taking advantage of the coupon code SAVE35. Horror Fan for Life says, who was best, Elegant Elliot Offen, Eric the Actor, or Riley Martin? Frank the Dwarf. Also great show. Hashtag Bernie. Hashtag mentally ill in chief must go. So this is a Howard Stern show question. You know, I was never a big fan of Frank the Dwarf. And I'm just using the name that he had. I'm not suggesting that it's a name I would give to anyone or that it's an appropriate name for anybody. But he was a little bit very early in my listening to Howard Stern. Elegant Elliot Offen was one of the most compelling figures on the Howard Stern show ever. Eric the Actor, a completely different character and also endlessly interesting. And I found Riley Martin's alien nonsense just so compelling. It is really hard for me to say. I think maybe just for nostalgia, I would rank Elegant Elliot Offen first. Maybe then Eric the Actor and then Riley Martin, although it's really, really tough. Rex Soul is asking whether I have any new recipes. Let me think. Do I have any new recipes? I've got like a sort of one sheet salmon thing that I've been doing where you get that potato medley of all different colored small potatoes, and you toss them in salt, pepper, olive oil, and throw it in the oven on a sheet pan for like 25 minutes or something like that. And in the meantime, you make a marinade. Do people care about this? I'm asking, I'm doing what people are asking for. You make a marinade for, I prefer salmon, although you could pick your fish. Um, and the marinade is made of soy sauce, lemon, minced garlic, minced ginger, and I think some honey. And you reserve about a third of it for later, put three-quarters of it in a bag with your pieces of salmon. And then after the potatoes are basically cooked on that same sheet pan, you move the potatoes out of the way, put a bunch of green beans on, salt and pepper them, and then you put the salmon in the middle. I recommend cooking to where it comes out at 130 degrees. It'll keep climbing to about 135 and it'll be just past medium, which I think is perfect. And then you just pour the rest of the sauce on the green beans and on the salmon, and you've got yourself dinner there. That's a new one that it's been one of my go-tos. I'm doing it once a week. Orisis Love in a super chat says, love the show. Thank you for it. Okay, let me check whether any of our new member, let's see, area code 425 or 503. Yeah, I'm not seeing the people that would have first caller privileges holding on here. But let's go to the, the 828 person is back. No, it's a different 828 person. Let's go to 828 again. A different 828 than before.
Baby.
Hey, who's this?
Hey, this is Nick Hudson from Asheville, North Carolina. How you doing?
Hey, Nick. How are you?
How are you?
And,
I'm
and
doing
I'm on an
really well
insane
tonight, Dave.
delay
I'm
where
sorry
hearing
about that.
myself.
That
I'm
was
curious.
crazy. I wasn't on the line yet. I'm so sorry.
Hey, so Nick, I'm hearing myself on a delay. Oh, it looks like you fixed it. Okay,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm so sorry about that whole incident because I was not in the phone chat yet.
All right,
Anyway,
so I'm just letting
I
you know
guess I don't really don't have.
that's a minus 0.5 on whatever caller score you're about to get because of that little mishap.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
All right, so I'm going to walk outside now, so to make sure the connection is good.
Please.
All right, so I guess the question I want to ask you, and I don't know how to frame this because it has to do with Stephen Miller. And besides, we can always go back to his past and his out there and understand who he is as a person and what he believes and whatnot. But what do you believe? Because nobody talks about this to me, or what I've seen, because it's that much evidence. What do you believe his influence is on Donald Trump from a day-to-day basis, on not just the policies he makes, but just the reactions we see, spontaneous reactions we see from Donald Trump?
I think I think you're bringing up something that's important, which is to the extent that Donald Trump is commenting on stuff on a day-to-day basis. I often joke around, a lot of what Trump says is just what someone told him 5 minutes before the camera was turned on. I think that a lot of those 5 minutes before the camera turns on hints are coming from Stephen Miller. So I think Trump's day-to-day vocabulary and rhetoric is significantly influenced by Miller.
Nice. And I mean, you can keep elaborating if you want to, but that's really, I just think it's something that's not brought up, right?
Yeah, I'll be honest.
Because
Donald Trump
there's no story there, right?
I don't
There's
think
no story because there's no, you can't point to it. So that's what I was saying. Nobody talks about it because of that reason.
I think even Trump can't necessarily point to how his worldview, his sort of perspective on how things work is influenced by the people around him like Stephen Miller, because Trump's ego won't allow him to believe that anyone is really influencing him.
So do you believe it was a grooming process on Stephen Miller's, or could be it? I mean, of course, somebody as an aide would have.
Specific.
Okay, not that specific. Yeah, I mean, it's a question that's always it's been bothering me for the last. Wow, I've just never heard anybody speak of it. But thanks for taking my call, David, man.
All right, Nick,
I really appreciate it. I love your show.
I'll just tell you, you got a 0.5 point deduction for the echo and a 0.5 point.
Yes, sir.
And a 0.5 point of deduction for the interrupted signal. But because you're a member, you're at +20. So you're basically the best caller ever.
All right, I appreciate you, brother.
All right, very good. Very, very high score for Nick Hudson there. Very exciting. Okay, let's go. Where are we going next? Okay, listen, I'm going to do this once. do we want to hear from Jimmy from Philly or don't we? And Jimmy, he gets, he doesn't have a right to be on all the time, but I see he's now been holding longer than anybody else. Do we want to hear from Jimmy from Philly? I'll just look at what people say in the chat. Yes, 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 yes. No, yes. One more for no. Yes, yes. Yes, no, yes. No, no, yes, 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 yes. I think the yeses have it. So let's just check in with him briefly. We won't let him get out of control. If he starts with ad hominems, we will pull him off. Jimmy, what do you have for me today?
David.
Yeah.
One of the things that I held you in high regard for was that you didn't censor me. And I can prove this in super chats of the Heart Bastard, in phone conversations with him. And yet, you're a moderator in the chat tonight.
Right.
Here's the progressive thing. Like not admit to what you're doing. Just change the word and say timed out.
Jimmy, I don't know what on earth you're talking about.
I'm upset, David.
You
over
are?
this.
Okay. I know that.
Why
That's
clear.
clear.
Why would you do this to me?
What did I do again?
What do you mean, what'd you do? You were searching for the chat that got me timed out, and you couldn't find it because there wasn't one.
Well, there's no way to
Of course,
time
I did
someone.
tell somebody to blow me that insulted me, but,
Jimmy, let's back off a little bit here. Hold on. There's no way to time someone out unless they've said something. So the idea that there's no message that got you timed out, you can only time someone out on a message. So you said something.
No, I'm saying timed out is the same as censorship, David. That's not complete the issue here.
No, I don't think so.
I
And
clearly
what was the thing
defined
you said
that.
about there was something about you have.
No,
proof
I
from
told somebody to blow me that insulted me. I think that's the one that probably got me.
Jimmy, how many 11.5?
Because David, I've never directly disrespected you.
How many 11.5 percenters have you had tonight?
I'm on the fourth one now. I'm
You're
about
on the
halfway
fourth
through.
one. Very good. That's like 9 normal beers. All right, Jimmy. Very good. Great to hear from you. All right. Let's see what we have going on. The chat is just titillated here by what's going on. Okay, let me just go to a couple of the super chats that are here. What time is it? Oh, it's 8 o'clock. Okay, so I don't have unlimited time left here. Sabrina Zafar says, what are your favorite bands and musicians? What do you listen to daily? You know, I could name a whole bunch of different American bands and musicians, but that's boring. I'll tell you about some of the stuff that's less common that I'm listening to. It's a lot of Argentinian bands, Mexican bands, Colombian bands, some good Argentinian bands I recommend you check out. Argentinian reggae band Los Pericos. Excellent, excellent band. Argentinian ska band Los Auténticos Decadentes. Awesome band. Another Argentinian, I guess it's almost like ska / reggae. Los Fabulosos Cadillacs. What else? I don't know. Those are a couple. Let's see here. I Hate Apricots says, if Trump invited you to the White House, would you go? Sure. Adjacent Brown 12 says, what do you think will happen to DACA? I'm scared. I really think that there's going to be, that DACA recipients are going to be okay. I do think that they're going to be okay one way or the other. And Black Wave 54 says, you're Pac-Man, spitting straight facts. Tell these misquotes they don't want the smoke from the pack. Gert gang gang. Extraordinarily eloquent, and I couldn't say it any better myself. Okay, Jimmy, I see you're back on. I'm not going to you again, Jimmy. I just don't even bother. It's not happening today. Okay, 704 area code. Who's calling today from 704?
Wait 1 second.
All right, who's this?
Okay. We originally called from the 828 number, but we were pulling a Jimmy. Had a few too many to drink before we called, so we got nervous.
What's a
No
Jimmy?
childish.
Oh, like I see what you're saying. Jimmy, the guy I just spoke to, right? Yeah. What's your name?
My name is Amber. I don't listen to you. My boyfriend does, and he's constantly trying to get me to listen to your podcast and stuff.
Okay,
But I
sounds like a
wanted
good
to-
guy.
Yeah. I wanted you to convince me on why I should listen to your podcast.
Oh, I don't know
I'm
that
not-
you should. I mean, it's not for everybody. Listen, if you're looking for me to strong arm you, which I would never, of course, do to anybody in the physical sense, but speaking metaphorically, maybe the podcast isn't for you. What I would tell you is you might get a lot out of the podcast. The podcast relationship is a much more intimate relationship, shall I say. You know, when we talk to advertisers, one of the things we've noticed is that the random YouTube viewer is far less connected to the show in a visceral and intimate way compared to someone who's actually sitting there and listening in their headphones or on speakers for an hour straight to the podcast. So what I would tell you is, if you're an open-minded person, if your boyfriend is generally speaking a good guy who has your best interests in mind, maybe he's onto something. Give a couple episodes a try. If it's not for you, no hard feelings.
Oh, I was like, I was like really expecting you to like really try and convince me, you know, like being like, oh, well.
Listen,
I'm
I
one
don't
of the
want
best.
people here under protest, right? I mean, I would
Yeah.
say check it out. It might be a good podcast for you. If it's not, what am I going to say? But I think it would be premature to say no podcast before you've even listened to it, you know?
Yeah, no, I can respect that. Thank you very much. I will give your podcast a few listens and see how it goes. Also, no children were being beaten.
Good. Yeah, I'm going to
That was-
update. So I had flagged that phone number as children being beaten, but I am going to update that.
Okay, thank you. No one was being beaten. We didn't expect the call to get picked, so when it was, we're like, oh no.
Got it. Got
But,
it. And interestingly,
thank you very
called
much,
back
man.
from a different phone, it looks like.
Yeah, we thought that maybe the 828 was blocked.
Oh,
So
no,
I was
it
like,
hasn't been
well,
blocked yet, and I won't block it now.
Okay, thank you very much.
All
Because
right,
I
thank you.
wouldn't want to ruin the experience for Joshua, but thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate the phone call. Okay, let's go to the 412 area code. 412, I associate it as a very working class area code because I believe it's Pittsburgh. Is that right?
Hey, is this me?
Yes, it is.
Wow, I would not expect to get picked. I love your show, man. Thank you for doing what you do.
Thank you. Who's this? What's your name?
My name is Matt, and my question is, I know you mentioned Sweden has no minimum wage because of their strong trade union presence.
Right.
Do you think that this could work in the United States as well?
I mean, listen, if the relationship between corporations and the government and the people completely changed and became like that of Sweden, if trade unions gained the power and clout that they have in Sweden, then sure, it could work. But so many things would have to change for that to be the case in the United States. We're not heading in that direction. I can tell you that.
Yeah. Thank you. I have another quick question, if you don't
Sure.
mind. I saw you recently got into an disagreement with Michael Tracy on Twitter.
With who? Who was it with?
Michael Tracy.
Oh, okay.
What do you think about his recent victory lap on Twitter he's doing about the whole Trump-Russia debate?
What's he do? I don't. All I know is this guy named Michael Tracy appeared on with Sam Cedar last week, and then he started picking on me on Twitter, and I think I sent him 1 or 2 responses, but I don't know who he is or what he's doing. What is he doing on Twitter?
He's doing a major victory lap right now because apparently he was right about the whole Russia-Trump collusion the whole time.
Oh,
And
okay.
he's being kind of a smug dick about it.
All power to him. Hope he has a lot of followers and is having a good time. I don't know what else to tell you. Hope he's enjoying it.
All right. Thank you, man.
Okay. Appreciate the phone call. Thank you very much. Okay. A couple of other super chats here. Sam Dean says, have you seen that Trump might be going to the UK and getting a full carriage procession in June? Any thoughts on the use of such a visit? Cheers. No, I didn't hear that. And I'm gonna have to check that out. It's what he wants, but I'll let you know once I read about it. Harry Hang says, what are your thoughts on Ben Shapiro and Andrew Yang's conversation? If not, when? Haven't seen it, but I will try to check it out maybe tomorrow. I Hate Apricots says, do you fear reprisal by Big Seltzer and Kyle's legs? I don't. I have no concern whatsoever about such a reprisal. Let's go to the 917 area code. Who's calling today from 917?
Hey, my name is
971, I'm
Tom. Can
sorry.
you hear me?
971.
Hey, my name is Tom. Can you hear me?
I can sort of, but you're kind of cutting in and out.
Okay, how's that? Is that better?
That is better. Who's this?
So my name is Tom. I'm calling in from Washington. And I got turned on to your show when you did your interview with Andrew Yang.
Okay.
So I was a really big fan of sort of the way you interviewed him. It wasn't softball, but it was also reasonable. But my question for you is actually revolving around dialogue on kind of what could be considered controversial topics.
Okay.
So I'm not sure how to encourage conversations on things. I'll just throw one out there, like say like the wage gap, right? So it's hard to start a conversation on the wage gap because some people are like, oh, it's a myth, and other people are like, oh, it's definitely real.
Right.
And then if you just say that you're critical, like you're like, okay, well, you know, if there is an issue, I'd like to help, but I would like you to show me the issue, and then that becomes like, oh, you're part of the problem. Like
Right.
You don't take these issues on blind faith that, you know, you're a part of the problem. That's not really where I want to come from. I just want to make sure that, you know, hey, let's look at the data.
Yeah, I think so. This is something. It's interesting you mentioned the gender wage gap issue, because I mistakenly delved into a discussion on a Facebook friend's profile over the weekend about this, and I tried to point out that some of the numbers that the person had posted weren't accurate. That we've studied this pretty significantly, and 77 cents on the dollar, it's just wrong, and that I'm on their side. I want there to be gender pay equality for the same work between men and women, but that we've got to start with the right numbers if we want to seriously have the conversation. And I was totally shut down, and I was told that I was using the wrong language and tone, and that the real numbers aren't so important as the fact that the wage gap exists, which I disagree with. I mean, the point, if the wage gap is 10 cents on the dollar versus 90 cents on the dollar, the numbers make a difference. That's a very different situation. So my advice is try to start with questions, okay? Say, oh, that sounds really serious. That sounds like a serious problem. How did you learn that this was a problem? And start asking those probing, polite, sort of as neutral as possible questions to try to get the person to recognize where they do and don't have the required information to make the call. And that's the best thing. None of these things are super effective, but that's worked relatively well for me.
Okay. I won't try to sneak in more questions because I appreciate your time, but thanks for taking my call.
Okay, thanks. Really appreciate it. Great to hear from you. Horror Fan for Life sent a $5 super chat saying, me and my girlfriend were watching a documentary on Netflix about psychopaths. Trump aligned with multiple traits. Any thought that he could just be a psychopath? I don't think so. I think there's a number of different possible conditions Donald Trump may have. I don't think psychopath is one of them, but I'm not an expert. And we would really have to talk to someone who is to find out more about that. Okay, I've got to get packed for my very, very long flight across the country tomorrow. So that does it for today. I will try to stream from Las Vegas later this week. Thanks to everybody who called in, signed up, sent super chats, chatted in the regular chat, signed up on Patreon, and became YouTube members. It's all very much appreciated. And I will talk to you again very soon.